Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Reports. On tonight's programme we're finding out about a big event for local martial arts later this month. But our main focus this week is once again football, which continues to dominate the Rock's current sporting scene. We start on the international front, and last week national manager Alan Buller named his squad for the upcoming match against Germany in just over a week's time. There were few changes or surprises, as Richard found out from Alan earlier this week.
First of all, I'm concentrated at the moment in one of the biggest games that Gibraltar's ever had or will have, facing the world champion. So I can only talk about Germany at the moment, what we are concentrating on. I'm not thinking about the rest of the games. And Germany, obviously the world champions, they've had a bad streak of games lately, so they really need 3 points. They need a big score margin there. So we're just going to try and perform the best we can. Obviously, we will perform the best we can, but trying to keep the score the lowest we can. And like I tell the players and everyone, just to go out there and enjoy ourselves. It's not every day in life that you get to play against the world champion, so we've just got to take that.
You've mentioned the two poor results for Germany's standards that they've just had, obviously against Poland and the Republic of Ireland. Obviously this makes things much tougher for your players. I mean, obviously, like you've mentioned, Germany are really going to go out and to get the win and maybe even look for goals when it comes to goal difference. Yeah,
in football you always want a little bit of luck on your side, and unfortunately we haven't had that, for many reasons. We got into the group of death, which is the hardest group. We scored goals that were disallowed, that shouldn't have been disallowed. So, and then obviously some goals were offside against us. Again, it stood up. And now we've got Germany, which is having a bad run. And obviously they really, really need to perform in this game. So all we can ask for is a little bit of luck our way, and just try and do our best.
And if we look at our national squad a second, not many changes from the previous games, just Liam Neal, the third goalkeeper, and Anthony Barden coming back into the squad for the Germany game. What have you been looking at when looking at these two players, and why have they made the cut this time round?
Well, these two players, it's the same as I've been looking at all the rest of the players, how they've been performing, how they can perform. Those that have been with me in previous games that are there, there wasn't going to be many changes unless some players, really took my eye, because it's really not fair on the lads as well. It's a game of a lifetime, and they've given so much. For such a long time, they deserve to be there. But it's more of a defensive squad rather than an attacking squad, and we're not going to kid ourselves, or anyone else. We're going to be defending probably, 80, 88 minutes, and just have 2 minutes maybe with a counter-attack. So what we're trying to do this game is try and be solid on the back and defend in a shape that as strong as we can, and if we can get that counter attack, then well and good. But we've got to be realistic and just keep the shape in a defensive stand for as much as we can.
And now a quick point on one of my favourite topics personally, the goalkeeper's position. Obviously against Georgia we had Jamie Rover starting goal for Gibraltar, but obviously at the time Jordan Perez not playing first team football. He's now made a move to Lions. He's playing regular football again. Has that made your decision harder or easier when it comes to choosing a goalkeeper?
Do you mean for the squad or starting 11? What do you mean?
Well, starting 11.
Right, starting 11, I've said it before, no player has got their position set on stone. So there is no number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. There's none of them. I take each game at a time, and then when we're in training, I look at it, different factors within training, many things that make a decision and then just prior to the match, the day before on the day of the match, everyone will know the first 11. So whoever I pick, I've got a squad of 23. Any of those 23 players can be in the starting 11.
One final point, Alan, with regards to obviously the third goalkeeping position, we've seen for all the qualifiers so far a different person take that place. It's happened also in some of the outfield positions as well. We've seen several youngsters getting a seat in the squad, if you like. With 6 games to go, is that something that's going to continue? I mean, are you going to keep trying new young goalkeepers in the third goalkeeper spot, and will we see other youngsters making an appearance for Gibraltar in the rest of the qualifiers?
Yeah, obviously it's very important that these youngsters that are coming through and knocking on the door, that they get the experience. You know, it's not always experience on the pitch itself, on a game. It's travelling with the national team, going to these big matches, and that is experience for them, you know. And some of them, they might get minutes, and others it might take a bit longer, but they need this experience. And obviously in Gibraltar we don't have a massive pool of players, and we already know that some of our players are getting to an age that probably some of the youngsters coming up might need to be there. So it's important that we start taking them along now, you know. And you know, we mentioned it as a third goalkeeper, Liam, Neil, but like I said before, there is no third goalkeeper or second goalkeeper or first goalkeeper. There's 3 goalkeepers I'm taking in the squad, the same as there's 20 outfield players. And for me the most important thing is, if a player shows to me that he deserves to be in the starting 11, I don't care what age he is, you know, he can be as young as 15, 16. If he can show me he can do the job, then he'll start. So, you know, they don't just have to look at that I'm taking them just for the experience of going along. If they show on training that they deserve to play, they will play.
Moving to the Premier action this past weekend, and the GFA's top flight kicked off on Friday night with what's been described as Gibraltar's old firm derby, with Glasses taking on Manchester 62. These 2 old rivals have both had mixed fortunes in the opening weeks of the season, as they find their own style and way of competing in the ever-increasing professional era of local senior football. Neither side have appeared to chuck cash at their squads, with both happy to blend youth and experience. The opening 25 minutes or so proved to be a gritty midfield battle, with few chances created and neither keeper called into action. On 28 minutes, Glasses were awarded a free kick in the right-hand corner after a clumsy challenge from the Manchester defender. Upstep Glasses' Kyle Moreno, and his cross into the box found its way past the Manchester defender on the near post and into the net, with Manchester's young keeper Barnfather appearing to call the ball his. Despite Glasses taking the lead, the goal failed to spark any life into the game, with the match continuing to be predominantly in the centre of the park. And it was a similar story throughout much of the second half. However, as the game entered the final stages, it began to open up, with Glasses nearly extending their lead with a snapshot from captain Ashley Rodriguez, which beat the Manchester keeper only to hit the base of the post, and second half sub Pinto could only find the crossbar with an empty goal beckoning. Manchester finally began to stir, and Glasses keeper Liam Neal was called on 80 minutes to turn away a Jeremy Lopez header, and minutes later tips another Lopez header over the bar for a corner. However, for the resulting corner there was nothing he could do, as Lopez turned well from the middle of the box and fired goalwards, the ball deflecting off the Glasses defender and into the net to draw the sides level. With the match heading to full time, disaster struck for the Red Devils, with Glasses awarded a penalty. Up stepped Pinto, who thumped the ball down the middle, with Manchester keeper Barnfather unable to get a hand on it. With 4 minutes of added time shown, Manchester pushed to get back on level terms for a second time. And with just seconds on the clock, they felt they should have had their own penalty for handball in the box by the Glasses defence, but the claims were waved away by referee Barcelo. Final score 2-1 to Glasses. Moving to Saturday's matches, and first up at 5 was the St Joseph's versus Lincoln clash. Lincoln went into the game on the back of 4 wins after their opening day defeat to Lynx. Meanwhile, St Joseph's have seen a major change of personnel since their misfortunes last season and have shown encouraging signs this term so far. Lincoln looked the more dominant from the outset, but were finding it difficult to break down a stubborn St Joseph's defence with any clear-cut chances. That was until 17 minutes when Liam Walker and Lee Cassiaro linked up. Liam received the ball in midfield and floated the ball into the box where Cassiaro beat the defender and controlled the ball. Then he played it back to Walker on the edge of the box and he rifled the ball into the roof of the net. Despite taking the lead early on in the piece, the Imps were unable to push on, rarely creating any further clear-cut chances in the first half, with St Joseph's themselves failing to trouble the Lincoln defences. Lincoln did extend their lead from the outset of the second half again through the boot of Walker, and from there on in controlled the match despite the best endeavours of the Saints. Final score 2-0 to Lincoln, who moved ominously to the top of the table once again, on the back of 5 wins in a row. The second match on Saturday was a one-sided affair, with College Europa thrashing top-flight New Boys Britannia 9-0. The final match of the round took place on Monday night and pitted Lynx, who'd got into the weekend in top spot with 4 wins and were yet to concede, against Lions Gibraltar, who were bottom of the pile with just 1 draw to their name. On paper, it appeared a formality, but the beautiful game rarely pans out as it's supposed to, with Lions' defence marshalled by new signing Jordan Perez, who stood firm against a determined Lynx side who were looking to reclaim top spot. Lynx, despite having the majority of the possession in the first hour of the contest, had little to show from it, with the closest chance falling to former Lincoln man Robert Geeling, who was thwarted by his former Imps teammate Perez, now in the Lions' goal. After withstanding the immense pressure with a mature defensive display from a very young Lions defensive partnership, it was the Queensway-based club who nearly stumbled onto a win with several chances late on in the piece. However, it wasn't to be, and the match ended 0-0 to see Lions move off the bottom of the table. However, Lynx do have a game in hand on the new league leaders, Lincoln. Coming up after the break, we continue with football as Richard catches up with futsal and women's football. I talk to Vets coordinator Lee Thorne about this weekend's Poppy Day match, and we find out about a big martial arts event later this month.